Hi, hello, how are you? Are you good this day? Is it Thursday already? It's Thursday. This is the right side, and we are so glad you're here. Am I typing in a minute late? Yeah, I am. Also, do I have lipstick on my lapel? Yes, I do. Did I run around with chickens in my daughter's backyard yesterday? Yes, I did. How are you guys?
Good morning.
You're good?
I'm good. I actually slept in again last night.
You did?
This morning. Yeah, it's really weird. Jared started taking this it's magnesium with sour or tart cherry.
The anti-inflammation tart cherry?
There's something about tart cherry juice and magnesium at night that I can attest after last night actually knocks you out.
Can you please send me the link?
I shall. It's like a little powder. It's got 8 different magnesiums in it, which I didn't even know there were 8. And it has the tart cherry already in it, so you don't have to go take a swig of tart cherry. But it actually tastes really good. But I woke up at like 7:05.
Allison.
Well, I did text you at about 5.
You did. Did you fall back asleep after that?
Yeah, I went back to sleep. And you know when you wake up and you're like,
yeah,
a little panicky?
Yeah.
So I think I slept too hard.
I don't think you slept too hard. There's no such thing as sleeping too hard.
Or too long?
No, I don't think so.
Maybe. Hey, look at our matching earrings.
Look at us. It's like red rum for the ears.
Yeah, y'all are matching today.
We did not plan it.
We didn't plan it, and I'm really thankful. Oh,
you can't see
it. It worked. Wow. I used Dawn dish soap, everybody, which I do use on my stains at home, by the way.
Wait, actually?
Oh, yeah. It completely gets out stains. You figure if they use it on, little ducks to get oil out of their skin, remember after all the oil spills, it works, but it really works on stains along with some other magical things. But Dawn, there's no such thing as too much sleep. And I want your pouch because I need it.
My pouch?
Your pouch your pouch with all the good magnesiums in them so I can sleep.
Oh, it's not it's a scooper. It's a powder.
Well,
I'll send it to you.
Chris just got us some super juiced up collagen.
Oh.
And when I have my lunch today, I'm just going to have a chocolate smoothie for lunch or shake, that cachava. I'm putting the collagen in it. I'll let you know how it does. He's very excited about it.
Collagen goes.
I know. He just put it in his water like a monster. I think that's disgusting.
Tastes like fish scales.
We did. Hey guys, let me just tell you. I don't know if you take fish oil. I hope you do. But I've got to stop at Sprouts and get some fish oil on my way home. But they have these little gummy fish oils by Nordic Naturals. I'm sorry, Nordic Naturals. Allegedly, these are sugar-free. I can tell you they're also taste-free. And I threw them away. They're so disgusting.
Yeah, you don't want to chomp on some fish oil.
No. Disgusting. Disgusting gummy. No. Anyway, we have a huge day for you today. Before we do the word of the day, before we do Yammer, the Muslim Minute, you guys, we have Arthur Orr on to talk flock. Yes, we are leaning in because it appears you are leaning in as well. We have concerns. You have concerns. Arthur Orr is the man to talk to. And then we have Assistant Secretary at the HHS, Dr. Brian Christine, joining us. I don't know if you've seen the short documentary, Wolves in White Coats, but it is fascinating. It is troubling. And Dr. Christine is here to talk to us about it later this morning. So this is the day. Mark it, clock it. You don't want to go anywhere. This is a Thursday for the books. Okay. It is.
JP, yesterday, did saying clip it actually work in StreamYard?
You know what? That's a great question. I'll have to go back and see.
Yeah, we need to see if it works.
Also, I love your hat.
Thank you. You know who got me this hat?
I have no idea. Can I take 2 guesses, 3 guesses, but the first 2 don't count?
Mm-hmm.
Ella?
Uh-huh.
It's a great hat.
Mm-hmm.
Love.
She actually got me this one after Bear ripped up my last one because she felt bad because she was there.
God love him.
Bless him.
Bear.
Should we have an American Flag Day hat? Like Can
American flag hat day.
Yeah.
Okay. I got you. I got
Sorry.
you now. American Flag Day hat.
Yeah. Yep.
No, that's still wrong. American.
Should we wear our hats with the American flag on the same day?
I don't have one. I must be a communist.
I think you are a communist. Who are you?
Oh, let me guess. You have a USSR and a Chinese flag
It says,
hat in your closet.
CCP
Oh, and don't forget that
with a
Pakistan. I mean,
hammer and
the
sickle.
Ukraine flag is also on the side of
Well,
that.
I'm sure she's got Auburn hats in her closet, so it's pretty much the same.
Funny. Funny.
Boy, they got a Russian communist coach. You know that, right?
That is true.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. We're joking, right?
No, Alex Golich is
He's from Russia.
Russia.
Is he adopted? Or was
No.
he adopted?
I just looked up Alex Golich communist. It says Alex Golich is not a communist, but he was born in Moscow, Russia, and his family actually fled the Soviet Union in September 1991.
Could we get him on the show? What a fascinating story.
He might be a communist, though, because did you see the report that came out that every day the team has a different uniform and every day down to what underwear they wear?
Oh, he is a drill sergeant. Did he spend any time in the military?
I have no idea.
That is an awfully military-ish thing to do.
KGB.
SECrant.com has an article from November 30th, 2025. Quote, did the barn really hire a communist coach? And then the first line is not really.
Da.
Da!
Okay.
Da.
All right,
War
friends.
Eagle.
Y'all ready for word of the day?
Is it time?
Is it time? Sinclair, is it time in your cute shirt and our matching earrings?
I'm ready.
Let's go. Oh, I like your
That's all I'm doing today.
robot.
That's all I can muster. Sorry, I lied.
3, 2, 1.
All right. The word of the day. Don't look.
Well,
Allison, did you just
but
look
you
over
say,
at my
no,
phone?
You said don't look, and so what's the first thing you want to do?
Look.
We said, can I tell y'all?
Yep.
This is a terrible story.
Go ahead. Now the world wants to know.
We said that to Collins one time. She was probably 6. This is so bad. Can we
Wow.
please edit this out?
Yes.
We were at a
Clip this.
Bad? Oh, no.
It's so bad. We were at dinner and Collins and Jared's backs were to the door, which Jared never sits with his back to the door. I don't know how that happened. But all of a sudden I see like there's windows. There's
Allison.
y'all need to send me to the corner. Like I might need to go home. Okay. So there's about a 4-foot wall and then there's windows. And all of a sudden I see this head just like floating by, not walking, but just floating by. And I'm like, that's weird. And then the door opens and it's a little person on a scooter. And I said, Colin Sinclair, do not turn around. Because she was at the age where.
Oh, yes. They're going to say it.
What do you do when somebody says, do not look, do not turn around?
You turn around and look and yell, what is that, Mom?
And that's exactly what happened. And it was awful.
What'd she say?
What is that, Mom?
Oh.
Because you don't expect to see a little person on a scooter. And then the head, it looked like his head was just floating by. And she was so confused. So confused. And so don't ever say to a Sinclair, don't look, because we're doing that.
No. I think that's universal because we had to institute after, and look, I'm very sorry about this, about what I'm about to say, but I took Will at age 2, because we were still, anyway, I took him to Waffle House and our waitress was clearly 63.
Did you ask her?
No, but you just know. And
Is that old?
Well, he looks at me
Ew.
and yells, Mom, Why is that cooker so fat? Is she pregnant?
Oh my gosh, I have the same story.
And that is when the Shavers instituted the if you have questions, please wait until we are in the Shaver vehicle with the windows up. Then
abs,
you
that's
may
bad.
ask anything you like, but no more outburst when it's a suspicious or feels inappropriate in your gut. Surely the Lord has already given you that part, but that's when that was instituted, because those things happen to me all the time.
I think I was 4 or 5 in the Publix checkout line next to an obese man, and I said, "Look, Mom, he has a baby in him."
Yeah, my kids asked me at Costco
JP.
once. There was a very large woman. Hey, why is that lady so fat? We were this far apart. This far apart. And I was like, oh, Lord, may I please melt into the ground? It's not, little kids are going to say it. People can't help it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But little kids don't know. They don't know. But that's when the Shavers instituted. It was like in a stretch of 6 months where I said, guys, wait until we're in the car.
I also was at a Grissom High School basketball game when I was like 2 or 3, and this was my chicken nugget phase. And we were sitting, I don't know if you've ever been in the old Grissom gym, but we were at the top of the auditorium, and I decided to throw the chicken nugget all the way down to the lower section. And apparently the people below just turned and looked back and like looked at us.
What if you do it as a 48-year-old married woman of 4?
Well, it depends on how loud you said it.
I said it to the person.
What did you say?
This was the night we were at the pizza place and we met
Yes.
Ella's parents.
Oh no.
Well, I turn around and there's an acquaintance of mine, that you see every few years,
Yeah.
but you have to acknowledge. And she was there with another lady, and I turn around to say hi to my friend, and I kept expecting the lady to kind of engage, but she really was really kind of shy. She never would make eye contact with me, and she just acted a little strange. And I kept thinking that maybe my friend would introduce me because it was kind of awkward. So I say, "Is this your mom?"
No, you did not.
And she said, "Oh no, this is just one of my friends that came into town." Well, I turned back around. I'm like, "Okay, well, it's nice to meet you." And Jared goes, "Allison, I just overheard them talking about going to high school together."
Oh no.
So then I thought, well, I can make this right. I can text my friend and just say, "It was so good to see you. And your friend, y'all just look so much alike."
Oh no. Oh no.
And then I thought, don't do that.
Allison. That is, listen.
I'm usually so good. I don't know what happened.
You got to pull a Zig Ziglar and go, "I didn't know you had a sister."
Yes. Yes. We ask if that's a sister. And I learned from my dad years ago, because he asked if a girl when she was expecting.
Your dad did?
This is when I was growing up. And so that's when I
Okay.
learned we don't ask unless people say, "I am expecting." And they say it, even though you're like, "I'm pretty sure I just saw the baby move in there."
It was just a burrito, abs.
It was just
Up, I
spicy
felt a kick.
burrito. It's the onions. Yeah.
I'm going into labor. Oh, sorry.
So is it just us, friends, or have you done the same thing? Have you had a moment where you think, "I wish I could eat my tongue right now"?
I've quite a few.
Just melt like an ice cube in the 105 Alabama degree heat.
Oh,
Have you had that moment?
it's bad.
Share it. We want to make sure. We want
It's
to make
not
sure
just
that
us.
we offer support to you in your time of need.
Yeah.
Because we have each other.
Kind of like
You know?
when Squidward was melting in SpongeBob.
Squidward. I felt like that was pretty good, guys.
Melting. Word of the day.
Yep,
We
ready?
still haven't done it. I'm sorry, I sidetracked us, but you said don't look.
Okay.
I mean,
Oh.
I've already danced.
Oh, guess what?
Yeah.
This word goes really well with our conversation.
Okay.
Well, sort of. we can make it work if we do some mental gymnastics. To blank something, especially secret or private information, is to make it known. Rather than blank the baby name we've chosen, we're waiting till the little one arrives to make introductions.
What's it start with?
D.
Disclose.
Oh, so close. So close. D, and it also ends with an E. Like you are on the right path.
Divulge.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Divulge.
Oh, divulge. Divulge.
I'm saying disclose before I say divulge.
That was my first guess, and then you said it.
Divulge.
Yeah. Divulge.
Okay, cool.
All right, you ready for Gen Z word of the day?
Yes.
I don't think we've done this one before. This means a subtle, indirect, or passive aggressive insult. When someone throws blank,
Shade.
They criticize or disrespect another person cleverly without starting a direct fight, often using sarcasm or a subtle hint.
Throwing shade.
Throwing shade.
Yeah. That may be the first phrase I ever knew from my kids.
Like, did you hear her think that I was your mom? She was throwing shade at me.
Listen.
She's a maroon.
Speaking
She's an
of
absolute moron.
have you seen all the Froyo organics that we should try?
Oh, I have them.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Don't think I didn't subscribe to that.
Is that why you're so glowy? Because I want to try it. It looks great. Arnica?
Yeah, I can bring you some.
I'm just, hey, Chris, I'm about to buy some. We're going to buy some at the break.
Such suckers.
We are, but
It-
why not?
Used to be Vanita Mae Jones, my grandmother. She used to sit in front of the TV and watch QVC in her chaise lounge all day in her robe. And she would just click and order and order and order. And that's us on
It is.
Instagram.
It is. We should try and also get sponsors. Also, I have scar tape for us. That's actually the
Oh, I like my wrinkle schminkle.
wrinkle schminkle's great, isn't it?
Yeah, I like it. It stays on.
I got us more to try this other one.
Okay.
By the way, wrinkle schminkle, big fan.
My micro needling ones fell off though.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, but I probably need to. I think I had product.
I
on.
liked when I pulled them off. I was like, oh,
Okay.
this is nice.
JP
Okay,
needs
anyway.
some. Look at him. He's looking old.
I'm sorry.
What? What are you talking about?
So offended.
We are divulging our secret thoughts to you. All right, you guys. JP?
Yep.
I think we have time. Do you think
do.
we have time?
We have just the amount of time.
All right, perfect.
And what is it time for?
What is it time for?
Yammer.
All right.
Let's go first.
Sinclair?
Can you pull up the graphic?
Yes.
It's kind of it's an older map, but it goes county by county on charitable giving. And it's very interesting. I want to see what your all's initial reaction is to this map. It's from 2013, but I can't imagine it's changed much. Dark pink is the least charitable based on percentage of income. Dark green is the most charitable. Anything stand out to you?
Huh. Look at the South. Look at the East, the places where we don't want to live.
Yes.
Stingy malcontents. But what is this pocket? I bet if you went to that pocket of what country, what state do you think that's in? Is that
Vermont?
Perhaps Vermont.
Maybe.
I wonder if that is a very churched portion of the country. That's fascinating.
Yeah, that is one.
It's a speck of
little
green.
dot.
You know, it's really funny too. The areas that are pro-socialism are least charitable.
You were taking it to the next step. Number one, this is the most churched
Yep.
down here in the South. It is the most Republican in the Midwest. It's the most liberty minded. And then you get up to all these blue counties and states, and they just want to take. Take. You work hard. I'll take it. I don't want to give it though.
Yeah, I don't want to give it at all.
I just want to take it from you.
Mm-hmm.
It is kind of surprising though that Colorado is mostly green.
That is very interesting. And so what I wonder is, there was a study maybe last year that we talked about comparing like Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Texas, whatever, who were ranked, the states ranked among the most churched. And I wonder if you just set that over the top of this, how that would match up,
Or then
along with a red-blue map.
Yeah, I would.
To,
pull
to
that up,
kind of
too.
compare all of that together
Hey,
would
that
be
interesting.
fascinating.
The Mormons are very charitable too.
Yeah, they are. They're
Can you
charitable
pull
with their
up,
wives as well.
a county by county party? That would be
in
interesting.
2024.
I mean, you can pull up 2024. I don't know.
It's so interesting.
Look at this though.
Mississippi is even more generous than Alabama.
You know what that is?
Jefferson County.
No, that's Shelby County.
Oh, wait.
We are not very green.
Oh, that is not great. Is that?
I mean,
Jeffco?
we're light green. So Jefferson County is greener than that's Jefferson County. That's Shelby County.
That's embarrassing. Shelby County.
Okay, so take a screenshot of this map right here.
Okay. Me? You may
Yeah.
do it?
No. Just in your brainicle.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Okay, and then now we're about to show the 2024 by county.
Haha.
Wow.
Okay. Interesting.
I mean, it tracks. Now, that's interesting. What is that? The Mississippi.
The line into Louisiana
Louisiana.
and Arkansas. Huh.
Up into Memphis. That's interesting.
Oh, boy.
There's the Black
Memphis.
Belt.
Ugh.
Miami-Dade. Right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
right.
Miami.
So-
Nashville. Look at Nashville and Memphis.
Surprise, surprise,
So
surprise.
Brainicle screenshot again.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Back.
Yeah, it tracks. But Republicans on a whole, based on voting map, could be, because there's portions of the Midwest and West that could be more charitable. Because what do you have in there? Utah, you have Colorado, and a little bit of Idaho.
Maybe.
Because some of the church would be up here in Iowa, right there. But then you get into Illinois.
What do you think is happening in the Dakotas and Idaho? Do you think it's because their income is lower and they don't have as much to give?
I think it's because Kristi Noem isn't
But
the
that's-
governor of the North Dakota anymore, and she doesn't have her gun, and people aren't as afraid of her, and
She's
so
not
they stopped
putting
giving.
people in gravel pits.
Yeah.
Shooting them.
Yeah, that's obviously the deal. No, I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know.
But still, 10% of your income is 10%,
Yeah.
whether it's $10 or $1,000. Just anyway, I thought that was interesting.
That is interesting.
That's good. I have a story from Jackson Hospital from Yellowhammer. Sawyer wrote the story. And it's an update. It's a follow-up. Jackson Hospital and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Alabama have reached an approved agreement that clears a path for the Montgomery Hospital to emerge from bankruptcy, remain open, and receive $40 million previously committed by the state. So when we're dealing with this, we don't know, because there were reports that Jackson Hospital was not up to snuff. That could be true along with the other issues they were facing. But they are thrilled because it does pave the way for the release of money, and they can remain, which is great. This is a major step forward for a hospital that only weeks ago faced the possibility of permanently closing its doors because of a reimbursement rate with Blue Cross and Blue Shield. So
Those
good
rural
news.
Hospitals are important. That's good. I'm glad they worked something out. But Blue Cross needs to pay their share and pay their claims. And Jackson Hospital, it sounds like, needs to manage their money a little bit better.
That's right.
Maybe
And
keep the doors open.
manage the hospital as well, as far as okay, so hospitals in essence have reputations like the score when you go into a restaurant. Cleanliness, are they 100? Are they 95, 80, whatever? So whatever Jackson Hospital needs to do to remain up to snuff, we are for that. but there's an underlying discussion, and we'll have it in the future, about Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and they are a monopoly and they do set the rates, and a deeper conversation needs to be had about that in the future. But I know Montgomeryans are very happy that they have a second option when it comes to a local hospital.
All right, I have a fun one. This is from Yellowhammer as well, but it kind of went viral on the sports Twitters. Alabama and Tennessee bring back tradition, agree to wear home uniforms in rivalry games.
Sweet.
So this was a tradition up until I think it was 1970. Yeah, this year's game will be the first time since 1970 that both teams have worn home at Neyland Stadium, with the last home jersey game matchup in Alabama being played in 1969 in Birmingham.
We weren't even alive then.
Shocker. Why is this? All right. Y'all judge me.
Okay, we just did.
Why do we care what uniforms they wear?
Allison.
What? I'm serious. They
It's
change
so
them
cool.
just
Fun.
all the time. And I mean, do you play better when you're in gray, Tennessee?
There
Really?
is lore around specific uniforms. There's lore around pro teams' uniforms and which ones they wear. And even, I know in basketball, I hear the boys say, well, we play better in that uniform.
How about you just
Well-
play good even if you're just in your underwear, Golish?
It's nostalgic. Okay, like I'm gonna pull up. I am somebody who likes the traditional stuff like this, but
You're a tranny.
no, a traditional.
You're a tratty.
A tratty, yeah. Look how sick the crimson on orange looks.
That's good.
It looks much better.
Was
than
that in 1969?
This is like in the 1960s. Yeah.
Awesome.
That looks awfully modern.
There's one, and then
What a good pick that is.
hold on, I'm trying to pull up another. But like, it's just going back to tradition of the rivalry.
No, I'm for it, but I think Alabama and Tennessee have. Anyway, yay.
Thanks, Allison.
Woo! I'm excited.
Can't you tell?
I can tell in your voice.
Wow. She's ready to pull the goalpost down.
I don't even know what their home uniforms are. So
Tennessee.
I don't know. They change it all the time.
Well, I do have to say the smoky gray does not look good.
No. Wait,
you're a
can you
hater.
pull that up? Never mind. You can't. You don't have time.
Maybe next.
You know what I want? I want Auburn to have well, we can't call it Carolina blue. I want Auburn to come
Powder
out
blue?
with a
Powder blue.
powder sky
Everything looks better in
It
sky
does.
blue.
blue. That would be sick. I would get excited about that one. Until then, bleh.
Bleh.
Okay, when we come back, we're going to have to hit the montage pretty hard because then we have Senator Arthur Orr, Admiral Brian Christine, super excited, and lots to do after the break. We'll be back.
Welcome back to the right side. And, here, perhaps we like to get into discussions that make people go, are you really going to talk about that again? Yes, because it matters. And we are thrilled right now to be joined by JJ Reach, who is running for sheriff of Jefferson County, but who also has some insights in regards to flock cameras that we may not have considered before. But first, welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Appreciate the opportunity.
We're so glad you're here. Tell us, before we talk about the issue, about you and about your law enforcement career.
Sure. So I grew up in a small city just outside of Birmingham in Midfield. My grandfather was the chief of police there for 34 years. It was a great place to live. He's the reason I became a law enforcement officer. Started in 1994 with Jefferson County Sheriff's Office as a deputy. Came through the ranks. I've served as a sergeant, lieutenant, and a captain. Had the opportunity as a sergeant and doing investigations. Majority of my career was spent doing child exploitation cases. From there, as a lieutenant, I oversaw the transition where we put a deputy into all 62 schools in Jefferson County. And then lastly, as a captain, I had the pleasure of being in the jail during the COVID era, which was a lot of fun. So I retired with 30 years of experience, went back to work for Clear PD and doing investigations again.
Wow. Oh my word. I have so many questions, but we will stick with what's going on today.
I guess I feel a little bit out of the loop because I'm starting to look back on some legislation, some bids. Somebody sent me the Shelby County bid for flock cameras. This goes back to, I mean, probably 4 years, 4 or 5 years. 2021 is really when, if we were all paying attention, of course, that was the middle of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
All this stuff kind of started rolling out. Catch us up, because I think you've been on the forefront of this probably for a lot longer. I mean, flock cameras, I hadn't heard of it till probably 6 weeks ago, and that
Wow.
is not a good thing. So tell us what we need to know.
So, as far as investigators do, had the opportunity to work complex felony investigations for a long time, including homicides, cold homicides. We had success in doing that. And we accomplished all that prior to having license plate readers. So again, I think the issue that has been discussed is they are discussing public safety matters. Well, we have to not allow the safety term to override taking someone's liberty. And so that's where I think the technology that is out there is available. But let me give you an example of how it can be used without it taking someone's liberty. As an example, if I want to get a search warrant on someone's cell phone, I can't pick up the phone and call Verizon or T-Mobile or AT&T. I've got to be able to articulate the reasoning for me to obtain that information. So I can get a search warrant. I can obtain that information. It can tell us the geo-tracking location, anything you can imagine off the cell phone, right? So it's the same with the LPR readers. If, in my opinion, we should have to obtain a search warrant. That way we're not violating someone's rights. Now, I know that they are considered tracking individuals, but the statute actually states if it's not constant surveillance, then it's not a violation of the Fourth Amendment. However, we don't know that they're not utilizing this information to track and surveillance. As an example, with Flock, we talk about Flock, but there's other camera systems out there as well. You have Vigilant, you have Verkada, and now you've got Alabama Power in the game.
I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
How?
So Alabama Power is coordinated with Flock camera systems. And so Alabama Power is going into contract with certain law enforcement officers or departments, and they are providing the Flock cameras, the use of Alabama Power poles. They also add the the 4G LTE network, and it's a cost. So that amount that they're charging is $270 per camera per month. So it's also got to look at it being a profitable game. Just like she did the intersection with the 3 cameras, you do the math on that, that's $10,000 just for that one intersection. So how many cameras do we have in Jefferson County?
Wait, I want to stop you real
Sure.
quickly. Basically, the reason you're saying Alabama Power is in this, they front the cost. I guess they pay for the camera and the setup. And instead of having the metal poles, you're saying they're attached to the power poles.
You can utilize the Alabama Power poles.
But why wouldn't the police department just go buy their own instead of basically renting it from Alabama Power?
Because you get access to their equipment, their services, and their power poles.
Okay, so it's like okay, it's like a perk. Okay,
Because how
going.
much would it? Hello and welcome back. I am Amy Beth Shaver with Allison Sinclair and JP having a Thursday. Remember, at 11 o'clock, we have Senator Arthur Orr and then Admiral, who is admirable, Brian Christine. Do you see what I did there?
The
That was
admirable
good.
admiral.
I felt, thank you. He's awesome.
The guy in the
That
gold
guy.
stars and the hat.
Whenever we bring him up, we all need to just like,
Salute?
Yeah.
That seems wrong.
Can we just do that's probably wrong too.
What did you do? Gosh, Taylor Swift.
I kid.
Jeez.
I kid. All right. Here's what we've got. comments, thoughts from y'all, and then the montage, and then we're rolling right into our packed 11 o'clock block. Now, we may or may not have time for two things today. One is the Muslim Minute. Two is the plunge on education. We may jump and do education tomorrow because I don't think we're going to have time. We've got some preview info for our conversation with Trish Crane. We're going there, and we can't wait to go there with her tomorrow. So just beware. I know you're used to things on Thursday, but today it's packed. But first, thoughts from y'all.
If y'all want to text into the show, you can either comment your thoughts on the live stream you're watching or text into 833-687-4448. First on the YouTube, Ashley said, quote, tip and tricks. I love this segment. Dawn and tart cherry sleep powder.
Okay. Oh, she tips and tricks. That's actually
Dawn and tart cherry. Okay, that's a segment.
Life hacks with Alan Abs.
Could you play? Do we have any music for that? It's got to be peppy.
Yeah, it's got to be
peppy
like,
la pew.
Like
have any?
like I do what I want.
Okay, yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. Okay, Ashley, I'll send both of y'all the tart cherry magnesium.
But which, by the way, I still have the hot chocolate magnesium Amy Beth gave me from like late
Do you
last
have
year.
it?
Mm-hmm.
Are you using it? Are you waiting until
Obviously
fall
not.
falls
Well,
upon us?
I mean, obviously not.
He still has it. It's been a year.
I know, but
Yeah.
I'm saying until fall falls upon us and you use it to sleep, but maybe you don't
Fall.
need it anymore.
It did
Thank you
work.
for noticing my alliteration.
That was good.
Brad from Crimestone on the YouTube said, first Allison at 9 minutes and 50 seconds. He said, second Allison 28 minutes and 10 seconds.
We still need to clip that, clock
Yeah,
it.
I do. I need to clip that. Brad from Crimestone also said, my young son asked his great grandmother, quote, why is your face broken? He was noticing her wrinkles.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, that might be the wiener.
It's good.
That might
Look.
even be, is this your mom?
Okay.
He also said, dangerous question. Is this your mom? Safe question. Oh, who's this?
How about you just say,
I like
how about you just
I
say,
love the icon, the emoji he put with that.
you
That's
just
good.
say, hi, I'm Allison. It's nice to meet you.
Yep.
Yep.
You don't have to say anything other than that.
Yeah.
Hello, how are you?
I mean, Jared Sinclair, if he could have melted into his chair and disappeared.
Oh, no. See, this is where I know that Allison and Chris are extreme. They think
Oh,
similarly.
sorry.
They say the same things. And so it's why we're so comfortable together, because we'll be placing up like, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Hi, where's that accent from? Or thank you, sir. And it's a lady. It happens. And I'm like, oh. So this is the family diplomat. And that guy just will say, he's like, what? I was trying to give him a compliment. I'm like, except you complimented the wrong gender.
I just really wanted to meet her mom.
You got your mother's eyes.
Are y'all twins?
I also could have asked if her face was broken. That's
oh my gosh.
just kind of the
What's
problem.
wrong with your face?
I have a new product for you, ma'am. Would you like to try it? Here.
Try some collagen.
It works.
You-
And get some Retin A while you're at it.
Okay.
That's my secret.
Glad I didn't send the text of, but y'all just look alike.
Oh, Allison. Gosh, I'm glad you didn't. Anyway, what else do our friends have to say this morning?
One more text. Ian from Hartsel on the text line. He said, we need a best of show where it's nothing but Amy Beth yelling Allison for 2 hours.
Say less.
Then it changes to them laughing hysterically at something.
Wait, that actually would be really funny.
We need to make a montage of Allison, 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 Allison.
Could you?
Can our AIs do that? Can the avatars?
Yeah,
Can
could they
you
do
say
that?
go find all the Allisons?
I can do that.
Sometimes I say abs,
You do.
like when she says ting and tang,
yeah,
or
that.
on a truck.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
That,
trying to be mature.
What,
that was
nut shack?
very
Yeah.
restrained of you.
JP.
She was trying to
Oh,
be a wall, a bulwark against shenanigans, since we have such important people coming on the show today and tomorrow.
Gosh, God love them. Yeah.
Who are we kidding?
They're
They're
together.
Yeah, it's all right.
Okay.
I mean, we even put on our best earrings.
Should we do the news montage?
Absolutely,
What, you mean
Sinclair.
the montage?
No, I mean the montage. Should we play the montage and get to the news, JP? Is this what the people want?
Yes, Allison, Sinclair. This is what they want, and we
Hard
will give it to them.
hitting news. Hitting.
Time for news.
And I know Kim Jong-un very well.
Expecting to meet with him later this year?
Yeah, I will be. Very nice, actually. But I called him, I said, would you like to give us a little hand? We don't need help with Iran, but if you'd like, give us a hand with Iran. He said, no thanks. And I said, wait a minute, we have 39,000 soldiers over there guarding you from Kim Jong-un, your next door neighbor, and you're not going to help us on a very easy military operation in Iran? That's strange.
Of Texas, we see what happened with Carmelo Anthony, and you said it was a tragedy.
Yeah.
What did you mean by that?
You know, I'm not an expert on this particular case, but I know that there were no black members of the jury. And to me, that's the only evidence you need to really prove that this system is not working for black Texans.
No, it's a great start in this town, to be honest. I'm honestly kind of over India already. I think I'm just going to leave. The men here are just, there's something wrong with them.
TikTokers are posting reenactment videos of them hanging out the window to prove that Lindsay Clancy is innocent. This weekend, I've seen 2 different women hanging out of their own windows. The first woman was hanging out of her 2-story window after putting blue dish soap on her wrist to show where the stain should have been if Lindsay opened it.
Okay, I've meant to bring this up to y'all, but if y'all don't want to veer into this area, but it's an area that I can't comment on. But I don't know if y'all have seen all of the debates on Twitter with the Lindsay Clancy story and so many women that are supporting her and mothers supporting her. But then it's kind of veered into a area about postpartum depression, and some people saying it's fake and others saying it's not fake. But I don't know. I haven't really paid attention to the Lindsay Clancy case, but the mothers that have come out in support of a woman that had murdered her children, saying that postpartum depression is real and it's okay to, I don't know. Again, y'all, if we don't want to talk about it, we don't have to, but it's been a very weird story, in my opinion, that somebody like her can get support. And somebody also mentioned that this is they predicted this is going to lead into postpartum depression being a reason to have abortions because they don't want to pull Lindsay Clancy.
See, which is ignorant, because when you have an abortion, you lose the same amount of hormones as you do when you birth a live child. Because postpartum depression happens, and I've had it severely. It is real. And I had it very badly. But it has to do with the crash of hormones. It's very similar to the crash of hormones when you head from being a woman who can have children and you plummet into menopause. It's not different. It's just with menopause, it happens over a period of time. Post-birth, it happens immediately. And so it's not that you're thrilled that you get to have a baby. It is a thrill. But the idea that people would abort because it would take away that feeling is ignorant. Your body responds the same, especially if you're later term, and late term abortions do happen. Your milk will still come in. So that idea is false, it's repugnant, and it's ignorant. I know I said that 3 times, but it's ignorant. Number 2, they are making an excuse for what they already plan to do if these girls are talking about using it as an excuse for abortion. But number 3, it's misplaced emotions for people who do not have a biblical worldview. Because women, how old is the earth? Some of you say 10,000 years. Others of you say millions of years. I believe in a young earth. This has been going on since the beginning of time. But what's different is we do not have a biblical framework anymore, and we've lost morality. And so we're using that as an excuse to say, see, this is what happens. But it's a horrific case. She murdered her children. Sure, she may have been depressed and in postpartum. Not an excuse for murder. There never is one, unless it is in self-defense, and those were helpless babies. That has nothing to do with this.
I haven't kept up with it. When I say zero, I mean zero. I maybe come across something on X. I had dinner with a friend the other night that is heavily invested in this case. And I asked her literally we were saying bye. She was walking to her car and she was like, I'm going home to catch up on the case. I said, well, what do you think? I said, did she do it? And she said, I don't know, but I know the system failed her. So I think there are a lot of things that are true here, potentially. Our medical system, if you look through, I did see her list of prescriptions and what she was prescribed by 4 different doctors. I never struggled with postpartum depression, so I don't know what that specifically is like. But if you're struggling, you're desperate for help. And if you feel like you're not getting it from one person, you go to another. And I mean, they put her on Bisperone. Oh, no, it's Buspar. I can't remember what one is the generic name. I mean, she was on Zoloft. She was on all these drugs that really affect your mental state. Now, whether the physicians knew about the other physicians, I don't know. She was not in a good place. It seems like she was just looking for help. But somebody needed to intervene and they didn't. She probably needed to have inpatient care somewhere and they didn't. And this is what happened. But there's no excuse for taking the lives of your children. That's where I draw the line, because things may be true at the same time. She had postpartum depression. It is a real thing. She was overly medicated and there were not proper boundaries on the medication she was on. But that doesn't excuse the fact that she murdered her children.
Yeah. And that's kind of, again, I've obviously never experienced PPD, but from my perspective, this seems the same. This seems like the same argument for abortion, where the woman's feelings or basically everything, all the selfish reasons come above the life of a child. And so, again, I don't even think the postpartum depression argument is even relevant or useful to the case, because the bottom line is she murdered her children. Like, the only reason it is a conversation is because it's being used by feminist leftists to give her an excuse. And I think, again, it does connect to the same abortion logic. But the fact that we value her emotional state, whether valid or not, over the fact that these kids were innocent and had their lives taken from them, the fact that that is being placed above the kids is
insane. Do you think insanity is a reason to acquit, or people should be able to rule that they're not guilty on the basis of insanity?
I mean, I think that's legitimate, but I think from the standpoint of showing support to someone because you think that she had a right to do what she did. And that's what I've seen from all the people who are showing up and supporting her, like in the pink shirts, like a murder. The conversation is separate about PPD and others. That is not someone that's worthy of support. You can say that's an insane person and leave it at that. But the fact that these women are going out of their way to support her and to even some say acquit her, I don't think insanity is a reason for acquittal. I think it may be, a different kind of sentence. But I don't know. It has appalled me that there's current mothers that are supporting someone who murdered their child because they feel the same way. That is scary. And again, I'll say for the 5th time, I'm not saying PPD is not real, but the fact that mothers are supporting another mother that murdered her children is insane.
It's misplaced emotion. It's suicidal empathy is what that is. It is, and Allison's right. The doctors should know, because they ask you at each visit, what are you on? And then there would be a recommendation a record at her pharmacy also But somewhere along the way, there's another conversation to be had, and that is about the medication we put mothers on postpartum, but also mental health in general. And so we can't drug our way out of that. There also has to be some support. And so I totally agree. Thankfully, I had a support system that I could talk to when we had bought a house, sold a house. We moved from one state to another. Chris started his fellowship, and I had 2 little babies, and one was brand new. They are the loves of my life. But I had somebody I could turn to. Her support team did not help her. And to continue piling on drugs did not make it better. It made it worse. So there are several layers here of the situation. But for the women who are standing out there in the pink shirt, supporting her and making excuses, that's something that's completely new to our society. Can you imagine 10 years ago? And look at now, and all these girls on the socials taking to it. We're in a different place.
Yeah. I think it is it's much different for men than women. Obviously, I'm very much an anti-therapy, anti-medication on the male side. That's a whole different discussion. But, on the women's side of it, I don't know. I'm just not knowledgeable enough because I'm not a woman about but I do know one thing. There's no reason to kill your kids, period, the end. And
Right.
so the support, I think that's the main story. We have current mothers supporting her. It's insane.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to eventually give a follow-up, and we'll have to eventually have that conversation, because that's a layered conversation too.
I don't know where y'all want to go next. Any lighter montage topics?
Well, how about the woman in India?
Yeah.
Got a year-long visa and then decided that after 2 weeks she wants to go back. That's a you problem, sweetie. Did you not know what you were stepping into in India, or how many people live there, or how crowded it was, or that animals roam the street? What do you guys think about that?
Well, you missed what she said. She said the men here aren't right.
Yes.
And
I heard that part.
Well, and she's looking around scared for her life while saying it.
And a blonde in India?
Yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah. It's kind of, it's like the, who was the transgender that went to, what was the,
in Germany?
No, it was the Netherlands.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a transgender that fled and sought asylum to the Netherlands because of America, I guess, is hostile to transgenderism, and the sheer Muslim men made him feel unsafe. It's what? Maybe they have to go and see it for themselves. I don't know, but
I don't know. But I saw that and I was like, oh. I mean, I've never been. Have you been in all
Never
your
been to
travels?
India.
Haven't either. I just have heard from others who have, that it's dirty, that it's crowded, that animals roam the streets, and you would perhaps rather be anywhere but India. And there's a very real caste system, and there are outcasts there as well. And so I think that's the last time she goes somewhere without researching first. Because she had an accent, right? I mean, was that a British accent that I heard?
Scottish.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, and I know you both will have many thoughts on this. James Talrico, Carmelo Anthony, he was convicted because there were no Black members of the jury. Please share your thoughts.
I don't know why there weren't any Black members of the jury. That is kind of weird. I feel like in 2026, they try and at least make it, in the world of DEI, wouldn't you put some Black members on the jury? But are you saying that Black people are more sympathetic to killers? I don't know what he's saying by that he wouldn't have been convicted if Black people, because Black people don't care about white or black or brown or yellow kids getting stabbed. I mean, that sounds like what he's saying. And I don't really think it's a good argument.
No.
I think it actually proves racism in some backwards way.
And there were other people on the jury. Yes, there were white men and women, but there were Asians, there were Hispanics, there were Middle Easterners, there was an Indian woman. So is there only one shade of brown that's acceptable also? But that's a lie, just to say that that's why he was convicted. And I love your question. It's a fair question.
What'd I say?
You said that are Black people less likely?
Oh. I mean, that's what he's insinuating.
It is.
That Black people don't care about killing of other people as much as white people, and he would have maybe been acquitted.
In spite of the evidence.
Right.
In spite of the recordings we have from the event. In spite of the eyewitnesses. We're still going back here. And so the other question then is, how can we be in America today? Because most Black people are like, what in the world did he just say? That's ridiculous and insulting. But how can we be in America in 2026 and have somebody like James Talrico running for office and doing as well as he's doing?
Because he's charismatic. But I just kind of like the Lindsay Clancy situation. The fact that Carmelo Anthony is being made to be a victim in this still is amazing to me. He said the fact that there weren't Black jurors shows that obviously the Texas system is not working for Black Texans. How about the system's not working for Austin Metcalf, who died in cold blood because he was stabbed in the heart? Like, that is the real victim in this situation. So again, like you said, regardless of the many eyewitness testimony and the body cam footage where he said he did it, despite all of that, there were no Black jurors, so clearly he's the victim. That's just the victim being Carmelo Anthony is insane to me. I don't understand it.
It's very troubling. And people are going to vote for him, and very, very troubling.
When we come back, we will have Senator Arthur Orr, and then after that, the admirable Admiral Brian Christine. We'll be back.
Put in your own poll with your own camera on it.
Each company is going to vary. And
Okay.
again, it depends on if you're using Flock or Vigilant. I know, certain agencies are going with the Vigilant over Flock. But again, I can give you an example. Even Jefferson County Sheriff's Office is currently building their own surveillance cameras.
Great.
The bid I saw from Shelby County, and this was from 2023, 2024, I think it said it was $11,000 a unit
Okay.
per camera for the setup, for the installation, to purchase it, the monthly charge for the software, and to be able to have access to it. That's significant.
Yeah,
That's a significant amount that these taxpayers are paying for. You were about to get into how many Flock cameras. And when you say Flock, do you mean Flock specifically, or do you mean just these surveillance cameras in general?
We're referencing surveillance cameras in general because, we hear Flock. But unfortunately, there's numerous other companies that are involved.
Mm-hmm.
So to try, and I even did my research before I came to try and determine how many cameras are within Jefferson County. And you can't find the numbers because you don't know which agency is using this company or this company.
Oh, wait. So if you go to dflock.org, it just has the Flock cameras. It doesn't have
all the others.
Correct.
Dang it.
Okay. Before we move forward, I know that Flock started coming around in 2017-ish, or it was founded, and I know there are other cameras, but was the beginning of, we'll just put cameras on the corner, not even surveillance, just cameras on the corner to watch my building. Is that what invited the surveillance state?
That's a good question. I think some of it's got to do with money. I mean, it's a profit. These guys that are running these companies, and again, I get back to whether or not You know, if as an elected official, I'm required to be a good steward of the citizens' taxpayer dollars. So if I'm paying $10,000 for one intersection, is that getting the return that the tax person should receive? So there, and again, there's other ways. Again, you know, the companies, for them just to say, trust us, we're not going to misuse it. That's a concern to me.
That's a huge concern. I mean, I think that's our biggest concern, isn't it? Is just trust us. We're fine. We've got it. But that still doesn't take into account the depravity of the human heart and the ability to, well, if I can look at you and I've got access, why wouldn't I?
Right.
We're a voyeur society anyway. We're online all day. And you think that's going to stop at a camera because it's the right thing to do? How many people have that kind of restraint?
Well, and we also know that Flock hadn't been pushed yet, but we know that they are utilizing their LPRs to where if I've got a cell phone in my car, I pass by that.
Their signal trace.
That is correct. And then you turn into the little area next to it, you're going to get feeds in your Facebook where, hey, this restaurant's here, things of that nature. So again, that's more than just a license plate reader.
Tell people what signal trace is, Allison.
Well, it's basically, it creates a digital fingerprint of all of your devices, of everyone that's passing by a camera, a Flock camera in the car. It will pick up every AirPod, every smartwatch, every iPhone, and start creating a profile for people that travel in that car. So not only are you just getting a license plate, now you're getting passengers, and it just follows you around like the license plate does. But now you have specifics of who's actually in that car, who you usually travel with, where you usually go, and it's terrifying. I want to know though, because the Calera is Chief Heisch. Is that? That's
Chief Heisch. Yes,
okay. Ma'am. So he put out a statement on Facebook, which I really appreciated. And I referenced it in one of my videos. Basically just saying, I hear you. There's a lot of concern over what we're doing. This is how Calera uses it. The problem I had was the very last paragraph. He said, I can only control how the department uses Flock. What Flock does with the data, I have no control over. I think that's a huge issue. But it made me go, from a law enforcement side, you don't have to speak to Calera specifically, but what does it look like? We have a camera right outside of our studio that is paid for by the HOA. The HOA president has said he has access to all the data. The HOA people that sit on the HOA have access to it. Flock has access to the data, and the Shelby County Sheriff's Office has access to the data. That's concerning.
Very.
So what are the stop gaps in place to ensure that the HOA isn't stalking you? What does it look like from the side of the police department to have to get to this information?
Yeah. So as far as the HOA, that's news to me. And I knew that several HOAs were purchasing cameras for their neighborhoods, but I did not know that the HOA president would have access to
I mean, that is, I have not spoken directly with him. I know someone who has, who said that was his statement.
And if that's the case, that's a grave issue. It's just like in law enforcement. So I have access to NCIC and the CJIS, the Criminal Justice Information System. I have to have a reason to run your driver's license. I can't just go out and start searching you. I have to have a reason to run your tag. I have to have a reason to run a criminal history. I have to document when I run a criminal history. All of this data is recorded. It should be the same with Flock. So now that some of the misuse has come out with various departments, law enforcement is scrambling to put things in place. Me personally, I believe only investigators should have access to the LPR readers. And that way, if a search warrant is needed, you obtain a search warrant.
Welcome back to The Right Side. I am Amy Beth Shaver with Allison Sinclair and JP. We are delighted right now to be joined by Senator Arthur Orr, talking about an issue that is huge. But first, before we ask any questions, welcome, Senator. How are you today?
Good to be with you guys on a hot Thursday morning, and good to hear your voices.
Well, thank you for being here. It is unspeakably hot, but here's another issue that is also like on fire. It's so hot. But you did something that most of us weren't aware of. And that's in 2021, while most of us were thinking about COVID and trying to survive that, you were on top of an issue, this flock issue. I'm embarrassed to say I didn't know anything about it. You get used to the CCTV, just the cameras around, but you don't think about a whole nother element added to that. But you were on top of an issue and we didn't know about it yet. You filed a bill and it limited the time the government would have access to license plate reader data. Why did you file that bill? And what did you see?
Well, I see what people are now seeing today, and I hate to say I was prescient or something, but unfortunately, back then, Amy Beth, the public was just, and my colleagues in the legislature had a very, they just weren't interested in the issue. And the issue back then was the usage of these flocking cameras, these digital plate readers, license plate readers that, were being spread around the state in various places. And a high part of it was for commercial purposes. In other words, they would have your license plate and they would be able to market to you if you drove under one. And it could have a commercial purpose where you drive under one on the interstate and it says, hey, Amy Beth, you got a Starbucks 2 miles ahead at the next exit, pull on over. And the idea that they would be using government right away for commercial purposes was totally unacceptable. And then secondly, we get into the law enforcement area, which you're sympathetic. I certainly am with law enforcement. We want to catch bad guys and gals, and we want to put them in prison. But there were no parameters or guardrails or restrictions. It was just, we're going to put these readers up, and we don't, what we do with that information or where it goes, how long, who can access it, all that. Trust us. And I wasn't comfortable with that either. So anyway, long story short, when the legislation ran into a lot of headwinds from my colleagues at the time, the best deal I could cut at the time was to get ALDOT to put policies in place. And I was assured by the transportation director at the time, Mr. Cooper, that they would, and they did. In my opinion, they're very, very loose. They're not as tight as I would like to see. And now that it seems, as you say, the public has awakened, I'm ready to revisit the issue and really clamp down on these if the public even wants them at all. And I think that's the initial debate out of the gate. Do we even want to have them? And then if we do, we really need to put some restrictions and guardrails and more limitations on the usage of them. And we all know we support the police, but they're bad actors among the police. And what happens if you get a cop that wants to check up on his girlfriend and see where she's going, or somebody else, or a business associate, or whatever? We don't need that. And if that happens, they need to be punished accordingly.
So before we get into some details, I want to know your thoughts. Are these cameras, and whether they're flock? We had JJ Reach on yesterday, who's running for Jefferson County Sheriff. He's an investigator right now in Calera. He has thoughts on these flock cameras. I would say flock is a general term for all of the license plate readers. So when we say flock, that's what we mean. But are these readers even constitutional? Do you see a problem with the Fourth Amendment?
Yeah, no, they've, to my understanding, and I went through this back in 2021, they are constitutional because they're out in the public. People are moving around in the public. So there's no difference that if a police cruiser were there taking pictures on side of the road and noticing license plates and to report into the station or whatever. So because you have no right of privacy to your license plate being on your vehicle, then there is no expectation of privacy, and therefore they are legal. My real problem is these companies are using, they're using government right away and to do this. So that gives us the right to really come in and limit how they're used. Now, you could presumably, and explored this back in 5 years ago, you could have not in the right of way, but have on your private property a license plate reader that reads vehicle tags as they come by, and there is nothing that you could do to stop that. But using government airspace above interstates and other roadways, et cetera, that's where we get involved and able to draw some lines around.
So so you want to tackle it not from a constitutionality standpoint, but from we need guardrails and ways
to my understanding, again, going back, that this has been ruled on as not a search, because there is no expectation of privacy for your license plate that is visible to anybody as you drive by.
That's interesting. Okay. So let's get to your bill that you filed back then.
In legislation, I guess you have to have the expectation of, I'd rather have half a loaf than no loaf. Now, sometimes it's not worth compromising. It's just all or nothing. But on something like this, where we had no restrictions, there was nothing on the books to stop what was going on. My starting point and talking to my colleagues, they weren't interested, but I went ahead and filed the bill. But my point here is, it was a lot looser than I would like to have today, now that people are clued in.
How would you change it? What would you, because I read through the bill. I thought it was actually pretty strong. It seems like you were way ahead of the game.
The time for retention, I patterned it after a Georgia law, I believe, back in 21. And I believe that time was 5 years on the government could keep the information. I'd want to bring that in. Then on accessing, if we're not looking at a hot pursuit, they just robbed a bank and we're trying to find them. We're not looking at some kind of situation like this or an abducted child, but we're just trying to casework and see who went through on 10 days ago. I think I need to explore further having a warrant for those kind of inquiries by law enforcement of the database. Of course, the original bill had banning all commercial purposes. The idea that we would allow those that want to sell you something access to this technology or to your movements is abhorrent to me. And just a profit. Now, in some states, my recollection is they were using this as a means to pay for the technology in some areas of the country, where they would sell to Starbucks and let them know that the shaver vehicle just came through a certain point on the interstate.
It happens often through that Starbucks.
It does.
Yes.
Now, some of that may come through your cell phone now, but back then the link, they could link it to you using your license plate. But anyway, all that to say, no commercial usage. I think putting a warrant in there for things that aren't in an immediate need, and then really having some tougher restrictions. The restrictions that I had are penalties on law enforcement using the technology or accessing it, so we can spy on my neighbor's wife or my buddy to see if she's having an affair. I don't want it. That's totally off limits, and we need to really ramp up the penalties for something like that if they're playing with the system and doing things they're not supposed to be doing.
So would you support no state funding for Flock?
Before I make a categorical sweep, my inclination would be not to. It's more of a local issue where the local PDs, local sheriff's office, they're the ones putting them in place, not ALEA, not the troopers, et cetera. It's more of a local kind of driven issue.
So we have a Flock camera that's actually, it is an actual Flock camera. It is pointed straight at our parking lot at our studio, and it was put up by the HOA of the subdivision that we're in. We've spoken to the HOA president, who has said, and this is just for you going forward as you think about this, who says that he and the board have access to all of the data that comes out of the Flock camera, that the police department has access, and Flock has access. Now, Flock has come out and said that they have limited, they're going to change the, instead of 30 days, they'll only hold on to the data for 7 days. Well, as of yesterday, JJ Reach said he logged in and it was still 30 days. But this bill, this bill didn't pass, this SB2 that you filed in 2021. My understanding is KIV made some administrative rule that kept it for 5 years. Does that mean that the HOA will have access to everyone that comes in and out of this subdivision, in and out of our parking lot for 5 years as it stands now?
Yeah, my understanding is the administrative rule was done by ALDOT for Flocks over, or the cameras, license plate readers over.
Oh, that's for Cooper. Okay.
State right of ways and things like that. Your HOA, private property, private land, and that gives me a lot of pause that your HOA has gone to that level of technology. It would seem that a security camera, sure.
Yes.
But to now digitally be able to track your movements like that,
it's kind of crazy. And they very glibly said they plan on putting up more in the neighborhood. Was that a good word?
That was such a good word.
Is that
Allison,
appropriate?
I'm so impressed.
I think that's a good word.
Okay,
good word.
Y'all are teaching me.
Your privacy.
Yeah, they don't. They're putting up more, and they were very excited about it. So we've got a conundrum. Hey, that's another good word.
That's a great word.
Yeah, on our hands.
The coffee is kicking in the studio.
Starbucks. Maybe you can help solve it for us, which would be great. I appreciate. I wish you would have called me in 2021 and been like, Sinclair, we've got an issue on our hands. Had no idea, but I'm thankful for you and the legislators are talking about it. Before we let you go, real quickly, I know you can't pre-file bills because it's the start of a new quadrennium, blah, blah, blah. What else are you working on?
Oh, Allison, I got a lot. There's a lot. And, there.
Anything you can tell us about?
The list is long and I don't know really where to begin. And that's kind of given to policy and trying to make changes while I'm in the legislature, but I'd love to catch up with you offline and we can go through the list. And it's growing almost weekly, unfortunately, for me.
All right.
There's a lot to do.
We'd love to have that conversation.
That's fair. It's going to be a big surprise, like in February when.
Well, I'll tell you one that I had this past session that turned out biting candidates. And they kind of get, again, I don't want to sound like the martyr here, but I kind of got a attitude from my colleagues, was the dark money bill.
Mm-mm.
And, filed it this past session, saw that we had a problem with being able to track where money was coming from. Then in some House races and Senate races in the legislature, this money pops up. It can't be traced. And, there was a lot of consternation and there was a conundrum among those candidates, and I was like, hey, we could have fixed it back in the session, and certainly sympathetic to their plight, but I'd love to get that, refile that one and address it, because it's like whack-a-mole when it comes to campaign finance. you can close this hole, this loophole, and whatever, and they'll discover another one in a year or 2 or 3. But at the end of the day, the public has a right to know where the campaign dollars are coming from.
Yes.
And that's one I'd like to see pass next session, and I'll be bringing it back.
There you go.
That's great.
Senator Arthur Orr, thank you so much for being with us. Keep us posted. I don't know if you're actively writing this new legislation. If you would like input, we're always here, and we always have an opinion, and we drink a lot of coffee, so we can give you good ones.
Yeah.
But
Good deal.
thank you for
We'll do
joining
it.
us
Thank
so
you.
much. Appreciate
All
it.
right.
Okay, bye-bye.
Fascinating conversation. So my question for both of y'all, and I almost feel silly asking it, but I understand when we're talking about license plate readers and that's public property. I understand that. It's a price of driving on our roads to pay our taxes and also insurance. I get it. But is there a difference between understanding that that's public property? Where does the public property end and our privacy begin when we're in our car? Is that a reasonable question?
100%.
Okay.
100%. And I would be curious to see if a court ruled on this, or how I believe Arthur Orr when he says that they are constitutional. I
Mhm.
believe that he has some documentation, but I think there's a very, very thin, fine line
Okay.
there. Would be my guess of, and maybe, and I think what he's saying is true too. It's what's happening on the back end of it. Everybody has access to it. Your HOA president has
Yes.
access to it. Anybody can research you from 5 years out without a warrant. Yes, he said a police officer could stand on the road and write down every license plate that drove by, and that's legal. Okay, well, then I guess if he posted it in an Excel spreadsheet and posted it every day, and anybody could go access that, is that when you reach into the illegal
Mhm.
part?
Yes. Yes.
So I think that makes sense in my head
Yeah.
of how you're going to have to.
I think if it's reasonable, like for example, if a cop comes to your car when he pulls you over and he sees a bag of weed sitting right in front of him in your car and he can see it, then, that's different than actively searching your car. So I understand what he's saying if license plates are accessible and can be seen. But I think the needing a warrant to use that information is crucial. But also, I just have to say, constitutional or not, it appears that the term constitutional seems to go by the wind, because what Scott Harris and Kay Ivey did in 2020, they didn't really care about constitutionality then. And if we have a surveillance state in place and then unconstitutional acts are, such like 2020 that happens, then you're screwed. So it may be good now, and you can probably put guardrails in place now, but in certain scenarios where the guardrails are just like, who cares, and unconstitutional acts are just constitutional, then you're screwed. So I don't know. I worry about giving government any access to do anything malicious at all.
But a great conversation. And what do you know? A senator who saw something way ahead of time. Like, kudos. This is what we're talking about.
And I don't always agree with Arthur Orr, but what I love about him is that he backs up what he says, and he'll just say it. We may differ, but he'll tell you why he thinks he's right and why he's doing this. And I appreciate that. And I love that he'll just say, yeah, I'm going to file it again. And it's going to be even tougher. Ship it. Clip it. All right, we'll be back with Admiral Brian Christine after this.
The information. Now, sometimes it is convenient to be able to run a tag and it pop up, or some stolen car come through and it pop up. But convenience should not outweigh the liberty of those who are not doing wrong.
So this is what we hear a lot, and it's an argument pro flock cameras online that we've seen is, but if you're not doing anything wrong, you should just not worry about this. Can you speak to that? And I know you have, but speak to the person that's kind of going, oh, this is a bigger issue than I thought. But also that same person who would say, but I'm not doing anything wrong. I don't have anything to worry about.
Yeah, well, the same person's got a cell phone there that's got every bit of that information that's being tracked every day as well. So until you take the necessary steps to want to be in the right as far as, making sure you are safe and restricted from someone that can just randomly see you pass by, run your tag, have access to it, and then be able to track where you go on a daily basis. That's a grave concern. As far as being on the roadway. Now, your businesses, a private business, we'll use Walmart as an example. They have tons of cameras. They even have the facial recognition, but that's a private entity. When you're in public, you should have, I know it's public and you can be recorded, but at some point you got to have a sense, if you're in your vehicle, you're traveling, you're going here, there, yonder, that you're not being tracked or traced.
I have two questions, and I want to be fair. If you can, I'd like you to say some of the potential. We did this yesterday on the show. What are the pros of these cameras? What are the potential positive results of having these? We couldn't get to where the pros outweighed the cons, but maybe you can.
I can give you my experience with them. So, we had several cars that were broken into within a subdivision. Early morning hour, we're able to go pull up the flock system and look for cars that came through at 4 a.m. and there was only 2. So we were able to get the tag number off of one. He was a previous convictions for breaking and entering vehicles. We found him the next day. We solved the case. I've utilized it to track sex offenders. When we believe that a sex offender is not living at his registered address, and they have to register that information with us. So that's a little bit different. I can put that tag into the system and I can find out where he's going and where he's at. That's a safety issue, protecting those that can't protect themselves. And so those that are vulnerable or, making sure he's not back around kids, et cetera. So those are a couple of examples. I can tell you that, again, I go back to their requirements for law enforcement already in place. So just obtain the search warrant.
And when you say, okay, there's break-ins in the subdivision, we're going to go check. Do you just walk up to a desktop at the department and type in like a quick little password? You don't have to get a search warrant. You don't have to explain anything to anybody. You can just typing cat it in and then you can.
That's it.
That's the professional word for it.
That's exactly right.
Typing cat. Okay. So there's no search. So my second question is, what do we do about this? How do we handle this? There's a part that's coming out tomorrow. We actually have Senator Arthur Orr who's coming on tomorrow, because what Flock has come out with the backlash, they've said, okay, 30 days, that's a long time. Well, now we're only going to hold on to the data for 7 days. And in our conversation the other day, I was like, gosh, law enforcement's going to have to work really fast to get these things solved in 7 days. It makes sense though, because in Alabama and the police departments, I'm finding out, can hold on to this data for 5 years. Arthur Orr in 2021, in the middle of COVID, tried to bring a bill about that would hold it only for 30 months, which is, I think, what Georgia does. And it was shot down. They never got a vote on it. So Kay Ivey basically did her little executive order and said 5 years. That's insane. Flock may not have access to it. They're only going to have it for 7 days. So everybody chill out. But your state and the sheriff's departments and police departments are going to have access for 5 years. What do we do?
That's a great question. I can tell you that Flock hasn't changed or updated their system because it still says 30 days when I logged in this morning.
Sure.
Okay,
great.
So we get back to trust us. We're not going to do anything. We're not going to sell your information. We're not going to do this, but here we are.
Do we need legislation? Do we need to ban maybe where there's a federal bill that Tim Burchett has that prevents federal funding from going to be used? Because our tax dollars are funding this mass surveillance in every subdivision, city, county.
That's correct.
That's wrong. So do we need to ban public money from funding these?
That's a great question. So as an elected official, I go by what the legislature enacts, and I'll follow that either way. So, but the one thing that you mentioned is talking about, whether or not the camera system and it being retained for so long and so forth. it goes back to who's the oversight of what they're retaining.
Yes. I
And
wrote
so
that question down for you yesterday. Who is the oversight? Who's really watching?
and if they're selling it to the government, is the government the person to oversee what they're already receiving? So that's the question is who's the oversight of what they're retaining and what they're doing with it?
That's terrifying.
And I don't have an answer to that.
Maybe some people smarter than us will come up with something. Is there a way we can use this correctly? Or do you think I tend to fall, but I'm a black and white person. I tend to fall in no. I mean, it's against the Constitution. If you want to put up closed circuit TV like they have at Walmart, okay, maybe. I still think that's creepy. That's like CCP kind of stuff. But maybe at least you'd have to go get a warrant.
That's right.
And go through some proper potential stops.
Agree, because what people hear who are very pro and maybe think we're a little crazy for our grave concerns, to use your words. Number one, we don't know who's actually watching. But then number two, what's to say we don't turn into China? Because if we're still really a part of the World Economic Forum system and some of these things that are going on are beyond even our comprehension, then that social credit score is going to be used because they're watching us all the time. And you go to get on the bus in China and you've ridden that too many times that week, you're not getting on the bus. You know what I mean? They're watching your every move. So an innocent CCTV turns into flock, turns into life control. And that's the part, taking it to its logical conclusion. And then at the end of that conclusion is, and who's actually watching?
Mm-hmm.
It's all in the name of safety and security.
And again, you have to be careful using, and again, I'm so pro law enforcement. That's what I've done my entire life.
Yes.
So don't misunderstand that. But we can't just use the term safety as a catch-all to be able to infringe on others' liberties.
Amen.
That's why I say all that I've said, well, over the past few weeks, I'm like, we could all be really safe if we all of us wore body cameras every day. The government said every morning you got to get up and you got to attach a body camera and they can watch everybody that might commit a crime, or it will deter you from, we could really cut down on crime.
Yeah,
but is that
easy.
what we want?
Exactly.
So it's insane. Okay. Thank you so much for being
Absolutely.
here.
My pleasure.
Keep us posted. Good luck on your race. How can people find out about your campaign, donate, follow along?
Yep. Go to my webpage. It's electreachforsheriff.com. And you can follow our Facebook page, Elect Reach for Sheriff, as well. And there's ways to donate, volunteer, help, whatever we want to do.
It's awesome.
So,
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
Y'all will be back with some more montage topics, maybe hot flash news if we have time. Stick around.
The right side. And, here, perhaps we like to get into discussions that make people go, are you really going to talk about that again? Yes, because it matters. And we are thrilled right now to be joined by JJ Reach, who is running for sheriff of Jefferson County, but who also has some insights in regards to flock cameras that we may not have considered before. But first, welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Appreciate the opportunity.
We're so glad you're here. Tell us, before we talk about the issue, about you and about your law enforcement career.
Sure. So I grew up in a small city just outside.
Welcome back. I'm Amy Beth Shaver with Allison Sinclair, and we are The Right Side. We are thrilled to welcome to our show. We've had a podcast with him, but to our show for the first time, Admiral Brian Christine.
Hey, how y'all doing? It's good to be with you again.
Oh, he still says y'all.
I'm so glad you do.
Look at
There
you
you
up
go.
in DC, still saying y'all.
Yep. I do. How's everything down in the great state of Alabama?
Breathtakingly hot, as are issues around here.
Yes, and I can tell you, it is warm temperatures up here in the nation's capital. Yeah, and it's hot in other ways too. Exactly.
So we're glad to have you with us today. We're honored. Learned a lot from Wolves in White Coats. That was excellent. just even starting with understanding that there were a handful of clinics not that long ago to 225 nationwide, but this epidemic of gender dysphoria, gender mutilation surgeries, affirmations of delusion. What was, though, the catalyst specifically for HHS commissioning the report? And then how was the research conducted?
Well, it was last year when we released our report, our gender dysphoria in minors report through the Department of Health and Human Services. We released that report. It was a review of literature, and then we had that report peer reviewed. In other words, we had it looked at by independent scientists, experts in the field, and they came together and said, yes, your report got it right. It absolutely has credibility. It is scientifically sound. And what that report concluded and what it said was that there just isn't the evidence to support using sex rejecting procedures to treat these minors. We call them sex rejecting procedures, cross-sex hormones, puberty blockers, and mutilating surgeries. Now, gender ideologues who support it call it gender affirming care. There's nothing affirming about that kind of stuff. We call it sex rejecting procedures. Our report showed that the science doesn't back up using sex rejecting procedures. There was a similar report called the Cass report that came out of the United Kingdom a year or two ago that came to the same conclusion. Very weak evidence. Evidence doesn't support using sex rejecting procedures. What evidence in science does support in these kids? Because understand, gender dysphoria is a real condition. It is a mental health condition. It's classically been in adult men, but what we have seen in the last 10, 12 years or so, an uptick, a surge in minors identifying as having gender dysphoria and then seeking these sex rejecting procedures, being led toward these sex rejecting procedures. So we released that report. We showed that report, we released that report that showed the science doesn't support using sex rejecting procedures. And then, as you said, there were these clinics, these gender dysphoria clinics that sprung up, like you said, 225 of them. And as it turned out, there is a real financial incentive to treat these children with sex rejecting procedures, as opposed to what we know does work in these kids, which is compassionate, competent mental health care and counseling. And I don't mean counseling that simply affirms their gender dysphoria. I mean counseling that really dives in with these kids, investigates and talks to these kids, works through their mental health concerns, the trauma that may have experienced. Some of these children we know have been sexually abused. With good mental health counseling like this, these kids, the vast majority, become happy in their own skin. They don't need to be led down the pathway of sex rejecting procedures. And so if you can get these kids in these clinics and you can put them on the pathway of puberty blockers or chemicals or surgery, there is a huge financial incentive. Our report showed that from 2019 to 2023, over $120 million billed and spent on sex rejecting procedures. That includes over 5,500 mutilating surgeries, over 8,500 doses of puberty blockers or cross-sex hormones. It's big business. And we touch on this in the report. And so the financial incentive is part of our report. Our report talks about the ideologues in the Biden administration, including my predecessor, Rachel Levine. He and President Biden pushed forth this gender ideology, pushing kids towards sex rejecting procedures. We talk about that in the report, how the heavy hand of government put its fingers on the scale to advance gender ideology and sex rejecting procedures. We talk about how a number of the professional societies, something called WPATH, the World Professional Association for Transgender Health, the Endocrine Society, the American Psychological Association, they all came out, and the ideologues in these societies pushed sex rejecting procedures as opposed to what really works, the counseling. We talk about all these things in the report. And then the final section of the report, we have 8 individuals, 8 of these precious young men and women and their families who we speak to, and we hear their stories, and their stories are heartbreaking. And I tell you all, they are shocking as well. So all of those things are in this report. The report took more than a year to produce. It's obviously comes out of my office, the Office of the Assistant Secretary for Health. I'm so glad that Vice President Vance has made a referral to the Department of Justice and to our new Attorney General, Todd Blanche, who, by the way, I've gotten to know Todd well. He is a very, very good man, husband and father, a great lawyer. We've made a referral from the Vice President to the Department of Justice. And then Secretary Kennedy here at HHS made a referral to our Office of the Inspector General here at HHS. And that's how this is going to be carried forward in terms of if there's any legal ramifications and what could happen there. So that's a long answer to your question, but that's pretty much what the report talks about.
I want to go back to the patients, these kids. I sat down with my husband and my youngest child last night, and we watched the interviews and the documentary. It's about a 15-minute. It's very powerful. And as you sit and listen, it gets more and more tragic as you go along. But one thing that you all talk about, and I want people to understand what's happening. You talk about a captive patient. What was so heartbreaking was Clementine, who kept saying, I wish the doctors had cared about me as much when I was detransitioning as they supposedly did as I was, going through my crisis of feeling like I was in the wrong body. It seems like the medical community just kind of abandons these kids. Talk about what a captive patient is. And is that how we should be practicing medicine?
Well, listen, I think that in terms of minors, young men and women with gender dysphoria, if they truly have gender dysphoria, again, a legitimate diagnosis that needs to be made by a competent mental health practitioner. It's a very rare condition, mind you, but obviously we've seen an uptick in the numbers. If a minor has gender dysphoria, then you treat them with counseling. That's how you treat them. Again, not counseling that affirms their situation. You can imagine that there's that kind of counseling. Oh, yes, you're right. You're transgender. No, I mean counseling that gets to the root of the problem, because so many of the young individuals we talk to and their families will say that when they went to these clinics, they never really investigated their psychological trauma or their psychological issues or their mental health struggles. They didn't even seem to care about that. They just wanted to get them on hormones or operate on them. And so you treat them best with psychological care. And I, as a Catholic Christian, I believe personally that if the parents wish, pastoral care, I think could be incredibly important. It is important in these kids. If the parents want that, I personally think that's a great idea as well. But certainly competent psychological care, not the sex rejecting procedures. And so, yeah, we can treat these kids. We know how to treat them. The science tells us. But the way you don't treat them is by mutilating their bodies, or by giving them hormones that they wouldn't normally have, or by blocking their puberty. And again, so many times, Allison, these kids would say they didn't seem to really want to go into what our psychological struggles. They just wanted to get us with surgeries or chemicals. But we saw that again and again and again in these kids. And you're right. Clementine, just a precious, beautiful young lady, has suffered so much. But I tell you, she's strong. She's strong.
One of the things, once they get them in the pipeline, so to speak, it is very hard to turn around. Not impossible, but I think that's what's so tragic. They know they have lifelong patients. They know they have a lifelong income stream. And I'm guessing that's where some of the fraud comes in, because insurance wouldn't cover a lot of these things if they knew how flippantly they were prescribing them. But that was, I know, Amy Beth, you watched it last night as well. It just is heartbreaking to listen to some of these stories.
It is. And it's also what you said. And I wanted to kind of adjacent to that, lifelong patients, lifelong streams of income, which we won't even go there. But can you get the doctors who, look, doctor's child, doctor's wife, I get it. All right. But coding and billing fraudulently is a big deal.
It is a big, no, you're
Are they
exactly
able to be held accountable that way as they use precocious puberty as an excuse on their coding?
Yeah, and you're exactly right. It is a very big deal. That's why we point out, we take one of the biggest sections in the report talks about this potentially fraudulent coding that we see, where again, you pointed out the exact thing. We point out $11 million spent from 2015 to 2025 using that code precocious puberty. And for the audience, that means exactly what it sounds like. It means an early onset of puberty. For girls, that would be typically below age 8, for boys typically below age 9. But they use this code, precocious puberty, because they know insurance companies will reimburse that. Whereas if many insurance companies, if you use the more accurate codes, gender dysphoria, they're not going to get reimbursed. So they use precocious puberty to bill. But the kids they billed it on were 13 to 17 years old. That's not precocious puberty by definition. And so that's part of this potentially fraudulent billing. And that's why the referrals that have been made to the Department of Justice by Vice President Vance and to the Inspector General at HHS by Secretary Kennedy, that's why those referrals are so important, because that's how you move forward on the legal side of things. You know, we talk about in the report the $10 million settlement that Texas Children's Hospital made with the Department of Justice and the state of Texas under Attorney General Ken Paxton, where they began to investigate Texas Children's Hospital for carrying out these procedures in Texas, where the law forbids it, carrying out, and a whistleblower who's named in the report who said, listen, I saw it at Texas Children's Hospital, the gender clinic. They were falsifying records. They were using false codes. Cost Texas Children's $10 million, right? Cleveland Clinic has settled with the DOJ, and they're going to be starting, and they have started, I believe, a detransitioner clinic, and they're going to be, paying $2 million forward to get these kids in who've been harmed and try to work on detransitioning. So again, that's the legal way forward through the Department of Justice, through our Inspector General here at HHS. And so I'm very glad those referrals have been made. But it's, again, heartbreaking and shocking is what you can say. And it was very, very common. Allison, you kind of pointed to this with Clementine. Very, very common for these kids, now many of them now young adults, to say that, when we decided, we made a mistake. This was wrong. We want to stop treatment. We want to detransition. Then they were abandoned. They felt completely abandoned by the same people, the same wolves in white coats who took them down the pathway of destruction.
So the DOJ is handling the justice criminal side of this potentially, but the practical side is that every day you still have kids who feel awkward and weird in their bodies that are going to school counselors or friends or teachers or parents, hopefully as well, that are saying, I feel funny. I might be a girl. I might be a boy, whatever it is. As a physician on the practical side, what is your suggestion as these kids walk into these doctors' offices and these doctors will look at them and say, well, your daughter, you can either have
a dead daughter
or an alive son. I get confused there, but you see what I'm saying? As a parent, I have 4 children. I can't imagine a professional looking at me and telling me those are my options. What are your suggestions for these parents and these kids? How do we start putting the brakes on this?
Well, again, we're all parents. Let's face it, we would do anything for our children. We would lay down our lives for our children. And so when you have these families who have these children who are really struggling with these really difficult mental health concerns, and then you've got a doctor, a nurse, or a nurse practitioner who you would think you could trust, who says, well, your son's struggling. Do you want a dead son or a live daughter? I mean, you can understand how parents could be pulled into this, unfortunately, by trusting these individuals. Listen, I think parents, you have to be able to have that ready line of communication with children. You have to have children have to understand a boy is a boy and a girl is a girl, and that can never change. You can do surgeries, basically plastic surgeries, to change the external appearance of the body, which doesn't change gender. You could take a girl and give her male hormones all day long, or a boy and block his testosterone and give him estrogens all day long. It's not going to change your gender. be able to have that conversation. There are some really good groups out there that are great that are great areas for resources. There's a group called Do No Harm. There's one called GenSpec. These are some groups, you can find them online. They're staffed by very, very good people, and they are really dedicated to helping these children and helping these families. But you know, it is a problem if you've got this so-called social transition that's going on behind the parents' back, and we hear those stories, right? And we saw that in President Trump's State of Union address. Remember, he had a child there in the family where things were happening behind the parents' back. That's a problem. That's why putting this report out, evangelizing, spreading the good news that there are things that can be really done for these kids, shining the light on what's happened, again, this pathway of sex rejecting care or sex rejecting procedures, rather, doing what we're doing, which is talking about it, talking openly. Again, that's how we get the word out. This is how we educate the public. I think you saw that last week, Dr. Oz at CMS, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid, they now have ruled that Dr. Oz, because of Dr. Oz and President Trump, CHIP funds and Medicaid funds will no longer go towards sex rejecting procedures. Dr. Oz and I did a little video message yesterday that will be released at some point where we're talking about these things. Listen, this is a war that's going to go on. We can never take our foot off the accelerator, meaning people like me in my position, people like y'all. We have to be vigilant, because the minute we stop talking about this and we take our eyes off it, then gender ideology and the left, like a vampire, are going to spring to life again and going to potentially abuse our children, take our children down, the most vulnerable children, take them down this pathway. We can't back off on this. This is something we know what's going to happen if we take our foot off the gas. You know, I know, we want parents to know we're going to continue to fight for these kids, because in this administration, under President Trump, under Secretary Kennedy, under Dr. Oz, under myself, under Vice President Vance, and so many others in this administration, these kids, they're not some kind of financial commodity. We support them. We love them. We want to help them heal. That's what we do.
Well, I hope that everybody will go and watch Wolves in White Coats, share it far and wide, especially with the people who think this is no big deal and we're crazy for even bringing it up, instead of looking at the precious children whose lives have been completely destroyed and they're in the process of rebuilding. But we're very thankful for what y'all are doing.
No, it's a privilege and it's a blessing to be able to do it. And, you know, I've heard some say on the left and some of the ideologues say, well, it's just a tiny number of kids. One is too many, right? Mm-hmm. One is too many.
I just have to say, and I know you've got to go, you've got big things to do in Washington, D.C. today, but I several years ago, probably 4 or 5 years ago, here in Shelby County at my kids' high school, it was brought to my attention. They had outside of the counselor's office, not even inside the counselor's office, you could just go by and pick up a brochure as a 14, 15, 16-year-old, a gender transition resource guide that would tell you how to socially transition, how you could change your name, where you could go to do all these things. This is at Oak Mountain High School here in Shelby County, Alabama. And people thought I was insane when I brought it up. Fast forward, you and the vice president and RFK Jr. now are bringing so much light to this. And I appreciate that, because it's not a small, it's a small number, but I think we read the other day that 3.3% of adolescents consider themselves transgender. That is a huge number if you really think about that.
No, and it's a smokescreen when ideologues will say, well, it's a small number. You're right. You're right, Allison. That's a smokescreen to say that. And again, you think about that. In Shelby County, Alabama, that's happening, or that has happened. I mean, it's amazing. And, you know, it was my predecessor, again, Rachel Levine. He argued for removing any age restrictions on these sex rejecting procedures. And I think I've been told by Attorney General Marshall, that was one of the things that motivated him so much to really push for. And of course, Alabama, we really helped lead the way on this, you know, praise God, we did. But that was one of the things that had Attorney General Marshall say, okay, you hear what Levine said? Enough is enough. We can't let this happen in the state of Alabama. It's a contagion. It is a social contagion.
Well
and
said.
these precious, vulnerable kids. That's the ones who are being preyed on, them and their families.
Well, we appreciate what you're doing. Thank you so much for being here today. And keep us posted. We'll keep up with what you have going on. Actually, JP just found your video with Dr. Oz, so we'll go watch that this afternoon as well. But thank you so much.
All right, good. Listen, y'all have a blessed day. Look forward to being back home again. I think I'm going to come home for the upcoming holiday long weekend so I can see my grandkids and see my wife and just get down there and be in good old Alabama again. Alabama the beautiful, sweet home Alabama. I miss it terribly.
It's really not that bad down here. We like it.
It's
so
not.
come back. Join us.
It's amazing. It is a great place to be. And for anybody who doesn't know it, come to Alabama and check it out because you won't want to leave. That's for sure.
100%. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Okay. Y'all be well.
Thank you. You too. Kind of crazy that little Dr. Brian Christine.
He's here. I mean, he's from here. His clinic was just down the street. It's still there. He's just up there doing very important things.
That's wild.
I loved what he said about a social contagion because it's exactly right. We know it's been influenced by social media. It's shocking that we went from nothing really to something huge. And it's also still shocking that we're having the conversation with people that we know that think that this is not a big deal. But I don't understand in what universe, unless you're delusional. And one of the kids on the video said they affirmed me in my delusion, that you think that this is okay, that it is okay to destroy your body. Adults come along and destroy your body, give you hormones, and then leave you if you choose to go, wait a second, I think I've made a huge mistake. That to me is most telling and quite tragic.
I'm pretty sure it's emotional, mental neglect and abuse. I don't know how else. The people that you look to, whether it's teachers, counselors, physicians, to guide you and to support you in your moving forward in your best life, are lying to you. There's no way around it. It is abuse. It is child abuse. And I hope the DOJ actually does something with this.
I do too. And it's going to have to be a split situation, a split dose, as it were, because those doctors must be held accountable. And doctors do not like to go after other doctors. There is a code. There's a code, and it exists, and it is real. But to bill fraudulently, you can get them strictly on the fraudulent billing. Start there. But there has to be accountability. Has to.
If I know Brian Christine, he won't let this one go. He'll do everything at least that he can to keep the pressure on this. And he spoke to that actually. So, well, I'm exhausted.
Let's do some fun this or that.
Please.
Questions.
Yeah, I'm exhausted.
I'm just going to leave
that
this for
was so
tomorrow.
good. Both those interviews were really good. Actually.
Netflix or Hulu?
Netflix.
What is Hulu?
Exactly.
It's a hula hoop.
That's
what
I
I
watch
think.
Family Guy on Hulu, actually. So.
I do
Can
like
you?
Family Guy.
I've never even
sometimes.
seen Family Guy.
Fiction or nonfiction?
I haven't.
Wait, so you've never put butter on a Pop-Tart?
Yes, but without Family Guy.
So freaking good.
Yeah, it is. Fiction or nonfiction?
Nonfiction.
Can I do
I don't know.
both?
I like
50-50?
Twilight. I like werewolves and vampires, though.
Good fiction draws out of nonfiction because nonfiction's real life. You know what I'm saying? And so they take elements of real life and draw it out. So I say both. I'm 50-50 on that
Are
one.
vampires and werewolves real?
Are they?
Last one.
I don't know, but and then Vampire Diaries, Damon and Stefan. Okay,
You're going to laugh at what I was going to say. I was thinking like Pride and Prejudice or Emma.
Hey, we did watch Gone with the Wind last night. Yeah, we only made it to intermission.
Tomorrow is another day.
Hungry again.
Scarlett?
Okay.
Okay. Tomorrow's going to be another
JP's
huge
turned
day.
us off. He's done. He's done. Tomorrow, we have Trish Crane from Alabama Daily News. It's kind of wild, but we're going to plunge into what's happening in states with education. And then Trish is going to come on and give us what's actually statistically data driven happening in Alabama with our proficiency numbers. Whew, there's good news and there's bad news. Curious what y'all think, but that'll be tomorrow. We'll see y'all then.